Fukerton.com exclusive interview and WJFK here in D.C. We're on the line right now with a guy that fought Andrei Arlovski at the last Affliction Elite XC fight. I believe that he was robbed due to a faulty stand-up. He's one of my favorite fighters because he, too, would like one day to have an endorsement with Taco Bell, much like me. We're talking with Roy Big Country Nelson on the show. Roy, what's going on, man?
Not much. I appreciate you guys having me, though.
No problem, dude. We're big fans. First, I got to start with you were having a great fight on Saturday Night Fights against a guy that's a very distinguished fighter. I thought you had the fight won, and there was a stand-up that happened that, to me, was complete bull-ass. There's been some allegations that Jared Shaw was having people stand fighters up all night. Two parts to this question. One, do you believe that if the fight would have continued that you would have won? And two, do you think that was a crap stand-up that you had in the middle of that fight?
The first part, I believe, do I think I would have won? I think it would have been, there would have been probably a different fight.
Yeah.
I know I can tell you that part. Second time, do I think it was bull? Yes.
Yeah.
Just off the pure fact that it was just, I mean, I've learned so much from that fight, but, like, next time I just need to, go for it and just be done with it. Instead of, like, I was just doing my game plan, and the ref kind of threw me out of my whole game plan.
Yeah, that's what I got to ask you about. When you were involved, I mean, you were in the IFL, and Affliction is a reputable brand. But when you're over there doing that Elite XC thing, and we've seen what's happened now with the allegations by Seth Petrozelli, and then, of course, the Florida Athletic Commission gets involved and the whole company goes away. What was it like over there dealing with the Shaws? Dana White has been very critical of them. The blogosphere, I can't believe I know that word, has been very critical of the Shaws. What was it like doing business with them, and how much impropriety was going on during those fights, do you think?
With them, I really don't know. All I did was deal with Tom, really,
right.
When it was it. So from the whole standpoint of like Affliction and Elite, I can't really say which organization. It's just if the Elite was I know Jared was like telling people to stand up. That even came out afterwards that they told our fight to stand up, and I'm like, oh, that explains a lot of things. And then, but I mean, just from from hearing all the stuff from my fight to how like they knew about the fight, actually not they didn't have 1 week notice like I did. They actually were stalking me or knew something about it beforehand. And it's just it is what it is. It's just it's the fight business.
Do you think that I got to ask you this, man? Being in there, you hear all these. I'm just a fan. I watch this, but I see the dollar totes. I see what fighters get paid, and I know a lot of guys that train and a lot of guys that do training. I know how hard that you guys work. What's it like being in a business where there's 2 or 3 guys that are making an S-load of money, and the rest of you are fighting for way, way below what boxers fight for, or any other professional athlete for that matter? I think the average Arena Football League player makes more than the average guy that fights in the MMA. What's it like doing that, and what's it going to take for fighters to overcome that and stand together and get some better paydays?
Well, see, like in boxing, it's really, there's only the 1% that actually makes, the millions of dollars, the high end.
Yeah.
And everybody else actually makes less than what an MMA fighter makes. So a lot of people, kind of gets that, that misconception part. But the problem with the MMA side is if you are a top 10 guy in the world or even top 20 or you're working your way up, you're actually making, close to that, a couple $100,000. Like if you're a top 10 guy, you're making, 6 figures easy, not, 5 and 5.
Right.
So that's I think that's kind of where the deficiency is. Like if you're in the UFC, everybody just assumes that you're, a top 10 guy and you should be getting paid. There's some guys that I believe, are overpaid, and there's some guys that are way, Keith Jardine or somebody, fighting Chuck Liddell for like $12,000.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Does that come into your head? Like if you get into the ring, like with a dude and you know that he's just making, how much Arlovski made for that fight. Do you just sit there and get pissed off? Because to be honest, I'm a shallow dude. That would really irritate me.
It actually, it irritated me that not that the fact that he made $500,000.
Yeah.
it was the fact that when I was, when we were talking, actually taking the fight and stuff, is like they were like, well, he's taking a pay cut and da 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 da, and stuff like that. When I hear people say, you're taking a pay cut to $500,000, then I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? I want to take that same pay cut.
Yeah, it's hard to have sympathy for a dude like that, right?
Yeah, no, it's it's like if you're like I know you made over 1.2 on paper, it's kind of hard to have a little sympathy.
Let me ask you something, Roy, and you're a cool dude, so I hope you take this the right way. But I have a physique that's similar to yours, but I do not have the speed or the endurance that you do. I got to ask you, you clearly train well. You're fast as hell. You're in great shape. How the hell do you not have six-pack abs with all the work you're doing? I love it. You're my favorite fighter for that reason. But what's going on with you? Is it just like a genetic thing? Are you like me and you just like your combo meals? What's the deal?
I mean, I like food. I'm built just like my dad, so
yeah, me too.
We're just splitting images of each other. So a little genetics. I mean, if I probably, just ate, a salad or whatever, but you know what? I'm only on this earth once, so it's like I want to live. So I don't drink. I don't do, like, my drug is food, and I like food, and, I like to cook. I mean, it's just one of those things, but, I'm also the guy that's not on, the special vitamins. So, I mean, that's kind of also the counteract that a lot of people don't, realize that I don't look the way like a lot of other guys because I'm just not taking the good stuff. I haven't got paid to make the good money to get the good stuff.
Let me ask you, dude, I'm glad you brought that up because a bunch of fighters have brought this up to me when interviewing them. How prevalent is steroid use in mixed martial arts? I know you can't name names. I know you don't know what everybody's doing, but I've heard some names that are thrown around that really, by their physiques, you kind of get that inkling, but I was shocked to hear. And I heard that the number of people actually that are using juice or using something is higher than most people think. Is it a big problem in MMA?
I would probably go out there as far as to say I'd shoot myself in the foot, but I'd say to be safe, I'd probably say at least 70% of people are on special.
70%.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, dude. Like, if you don't do it, then what does that mean for you when you get into the cage with this guy that trains as long as you do and trains as hard as you do, but he's also got, like, this extra boost? I mean, what's it like trying to fight guys like that?
I don't care. I'm just the better fighter.
That's awesome, man. Hey, I'm looking at the meta rankings here on BloodyElbow.com. I don't know if you go to that, but they've got you ranked below guys like Congo and Ben Rothwell and Frank Mir. And I got to be honest with you, man, I think if you get a shot against a lot of these guys, you would beat them. What's your schedule like coming up? What's Affliction going to be doing with you now that you're fighting under that banner? And who are you looking to take on in the near future?
I'm not really sure, but as of like the conversation I had with Tom and Tom Intencio with Affliction the matchmaker, and with my wife, I mean, he guaranteed that I was going to be on the January card, and that's what I'm looking for is scheduled for January. I know right now they only have the Arlovsky versus Fedor on there.
Yeah.
On that card, hopefully they'll give me somebody good, like a Tim Sylvia. I'm ready to, I just feel sorry for the next guy fight.
Are you gonna like to fight another guy that's making like $800,000 to fight when clearly that maybe not necessarily be a salary that's indicative of his performance thus far?
You know what? I'd rather fight a guy that makes $2 million than anybody else, just off the pure fact that I can go out and for a guy that made $2 million.
Hey, dude, did I hear right, Roy, that you have to actually work another job? That's not true, is it?
I do. I work actually I have 3 jobs, so I do a little bit of everything just because it's the fight game and you can never depend on somebody else to feed your kids.
Oh, man, what are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you can you plug your business or anything? We get a lot of hits. What's your website?
I work for a company called SuperAction.com, and then I work for the Spearmint Rhino, which is the #1 gentleman's club in America.
Yeah, it is. You're not. What do you do there?
Over there, I'm a host.
Oh, okay.
So what kind of like a bouncer, but it's like a host. I just make sure all the gentlemen get exactly what they need.
Which one do you bounce at, man? Are you in Vegas? Which one are you at?
No, just the Spearmint Rhino. That's my.
Oh, okay, I got you. I just
we call each other hosts, but we're basically glorified pimps.
That's classic, man. Hey, Roy, I'm a big fan of yours, dude. I'd love to get you on again, especially closer to the fight. But if you ever just want to shoot the S about like the Volcano Taco or anything like that, man, we'd love to get you on anytime you want to come on.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it, guys.
Hey, no problem. Big fan. Thanks a lot. Roy, Big Country Nelson. Any websites or anything you want to plug, man?
Yeah, all information about Roy Nelson, just go to roynelson.com.
roynelson.com. That's awesome. Thanks a lot, Roy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Shed.
All right, later, buddy.